Grand Rising, one and all. How are you doing? My name is Naa Amerley Asante-Armar, and you are tuned into Real Talk, Reshaping Motherhood on the Speak Up and Empower platform in collaboration with Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa. If you are joining us for the first time, please do take a few seconds just to drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're joining me from. And also do subscribe or like or share whichever platform you're actually watching this broadcast from. I would appreciate it immensely. So today, if you're new to the platform or you're new to this broadcast, just a little bit about us, if you like. On the Speak Up and Empower side, Speak Up and Empower is an online membership based and heart centered community which focuses on building communities, relationships, and lives that basically allow us to create and share our dreams. So, all about empowerment, as you can see. Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa is a non-profit organization registered in Ghana, where I'm streaming live from. And its mission is working with women and girls to help empower themselves on multiple levels so that when they thrive, everybody around them thrives. So, welcome to us. And depending where you are, like I said, please take a moment to like, share, follow, subscribe to whichever channel you are on. Today, we should be being joined by our guest, a lovely Lola Truitt. She's 32 years young, a mother of three children who she's raising to be activists, and a proud member of the original Black Panthers of Virginia, who she's been involved with for 2 years now. And before that, she was spending her time educating the African diaspora, so Africans outside Africa, on consciousness, African history, and Pan Africanism, as in working together as one African unit, if I can say that. So, I mean, with having three children and carrying out a role like that, the question becomes, how does she juggle all of those things? So, hopefully, shortly, she'll be joining us to explain that. We have had on previous episodes the topic of how do we achieve work-life balance? Is there actually anything such as work-life balance? Does it exist for you? We hear a lot of talk about it, and I certainly used to think that yes, it's about being balanced in your life. And then I was introduced to, well, it may not necessarily be balanced, but is it harmonious? As in, however different parts of your life there are, and life including work and business, do they just all seem to fit somehow, even if it is one part occupies 40%, another 25%, another 10%, and then the remaining 15%? Does it all seem to work? So this is what we are looking to talk to when our guest joins us. She should be here with us shortly, Lola Truitt. So let's get ready for her. In the meantime, like I said, please take a moment, drop me a comment where you are. We are streaming live from Ghana, and Proud to Our Mothers Foundation Africa is based in Ghana, but we have a growing presence in Nigeria, Zambia, and Kenya. So watch out for more information coming from each of those places. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, you are tuned into Real Talk, Reshaping Motherhood, where we challenge or reshape our views about motherhood. And we are coming to you live on the Speak Up and Empower platform. Speak Up and Empower being an online membership-based, heart-centered community which focuses on building communities, relationships, businesses that are centered around helping people to create what they love. And Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa is focused on working with women and girls so young women, to empower themselves on multiple levels, practically, politically is a big thing for us, mentally and spiritually, so that when women thrive, everybody around them thrives. So that is our focus. Welcome, Sister Kai from London. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am just waiting for my guest, Lola Truitt, to join us so that we can talk about how she balances, if that is at all possible, how she balances motherhood with activism. Ms. Truitt is an active member of the original Black Panther Party of Virginia, and she is a mother of three. So I'll be very interested to know how she does actually manage that. Let's just take a short break. One moment, please. Thank you. Sorry about that. Our guest Lola Truitt, she is desperately trying to get onto the platform to join us, so please do bear with us. So yes, the conversation is about how do we balance motherhood with everything else we're doing. With Ms. Truitt, we'll be talking about how we balance motherhood with activism. Is it actually possible? Like, we hear a lot of talk about it, but is there such thing as balancing it out? If you were here earlier, I was talking about, I often used to think of, yes, of course, you know, you need to balance work and life, until somebody introduced me to the concept of, well, no, you don't necessarily need to have balance. What you need to strive for is harmony. So harmony being the fact that you can have your life, if you like, chunked up into lots of different pieces. Those pieces or those parts, they don't have to be equally divided, but somehow they fit. So you have 50% of something over here, 30% over here, 10% and another 10%, and that somehow all works. I don't know if that works for you. How do you achieve balance in your life as a parent, and particularly as a mother, since we're talking about motherhood? I used to think that we need to compartmentalize, you know, our lives. Like, okay, so we are mummy in this aspect, you know, the children have access to us, we feed them, we educate them, maybe we had some fun, and that is kind of separate to our working life or our vocation or anything like that. And then I learned that, but no, it's all life. It is all life. And so when I was able to now incorporate my children into everything else, then they got to see, okay, so this is what mummy does. She sits on the laptop and talks to people that she can't see. Then they actually wanted to, they started wanting to come on and join me for these programs. So my son did join me for one of the programs, which is Mothering Sunday, which I host on Sundays at 2 p.m. GMT. And that is a live discussion I have with my sons. My sons I refer to as the men. I refer to the men as my sons, and I talk to them about what influence their mother has had in their lives. What key lessons have they learned or are they learning from their mother? And in particular, how does the relationship with their mother shape or has it influenced the relationships they have with their other women and girls in their life? Sorry, brain freeze. Other women and girls in their life, because that's really important. Our you know, the relationship we have with our parents ultimately is at the foundation of all our relationships. So our relationship with our mother, be us girl or boy, lies at the foundation of the relationships with women, girls, and the relationship with our father, whether or not he's present, lies at the foundation of our relationships with the men and boys in our life. So that way we see the complete picture. So as much as, yes, we work with women to empower themselves, really understand, what are their skills, their talents, what are their challenges, on any level, practically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how to overcome and address those. We also talk to the men because the men do have a role in women's empowerment, absolutely. And when the mothers or the mother figure in the home, so it could be a woman in the home, she doesn't necessarily have to have her own biological children, but she's carrying out the role of the mother figure. So when she in the home is doing well, everybody around her benefits from that. And surely that's where the direction we want to head in. So from our perspective, seeking women's empowerment and working for women's empowerment is not just about the women. It is the catalyst for empowering everyone so we all thrive. And now I am thrilled to be joined by my guest, Sister Lola Truitt. Well done for making it onto the
Good
platform.
morning.
So Sister Lola is joining us from the US. Whereabouts in the US are you joining us from, Sister?
I am from Hampton, Virginia.
Okay, welcome, welcome. Your biography has preceded you. So I was explaining to our viewers, Sister Lola is 32 years young, a mother of three wonderful children who she's raising to be activists, if I'm
Yes.
correct. Yes, wonderful. So today on Real Talk, Reshaping Motherhood, I'm talking to Sister Lola about uh, how, if it's possible, at least she balances being a mother to her children and the activism that she partakes in. So, Sister Lola, first, can you just please, introduce yourself and do tell us a bit more about the activism that you are involved in?
Okay, so I am Lola Truitt. I also am a Black Panther, and a lot of my activism is to the people in our community here in Virginia in the 757. So, a lot of work we do is just really of the original Panthers of 66. We make sure people have food, clothing, housing, and we also give people a voice who don't have a voice. If we come in a community and we hear people say that this shop owner disrespected a queen or a child, we're going to go in that shop. My general, Mike Payne, is going to tell them about themselves, and we're going to tell them shut down for the day, make them lose a lot of money so they don't ever open back up. You cannot be in our community disrespecting our people and think you're going to make a profit from us. That day is over. If you want our money and you want our
Wow,
business, you will treat us with respect and dignity. If you cannot do that, then you will not stay in our community. We will run you out. So that form of
I see.
activism is was what's needed. Is you're holding people accountable who want to stay in community and make a profit off the people. We also hold um, we also hold mayors responsible for things. We hold police responsible for how they're treating our people. As you know, police brutality is something African Americans and people within global Africa still face until this day. So we have to rise up and say something. We can't stay silent no more. We can't turn a blind eye to it and continue to stay silent on the issues that are plaguing our people. If you don't have justice, and you're my sister, then we have no peace. If there's no justice, there'll be no peace.
Mm,
So that's something that we have to keep in mind. If just one of us have freedom and not all of us don't have freedom, none of us are free. So that's why
indeed.
I teach my children the true history about what this country was based on. At least here in America, as you know,
Mhm.
Black History Month was this month. They give a watered down version of African history here, and they do not tell the kids how our ancestors suffered to build this country. They don't talk about how
Mm,
the laws were created to continue to keep us enslaved. We still have slavery in the form of the prison pipeline. The school to prison pipeline is also a part of that. It plays a big role. We still
Yeah.
have human trafficking in 2021, and it's by this federal government. So it's a lot of things that you have to make your children aware of. I never want none of my kids to like be naive to the devices that are in this country. So
I hear
that's why
you.
I educate them on what is right. You know, I remember what got me started on this journey was my Naomi, my oldest, who is now about to be 10. She's going to be 10 on the 23rd. She came to me when she was 5 and said, Mommy, is slavery all black people ever did in this country? I said, no, baby, we were kings and queens. And I said, yeah, wait, we were kings and queens. And then I started reading her stories about Queen Azinga. And I start
Mm-hmm.
reading her stories about Mama Yacintua of South Africa and
Mm-hmm.
how she was built, she was valiantly fighting to keep her people free. When
Mm-hmm.
we find out about these queens, it gives you such pride in who you are as a black woman, and you cannot ignore that. You can't ignore that
Mm.
kind of history. When you find out
Indeed.
that we actually went to battle with our husbands, we went to battle and we knew if we died, at least we died free. So that's
Yes. No,
something
I
that
hear that.
even through the transatlantic slave, the Haitians is another one of my favorite history, part of history was the Haitian Revolution. They said, give us freedom or give us death. Either way, we'll be free. And still in 2021, we still have a long way to go.
Mm.
So, in
How do
order,
you? Sorry, sister. Yeah. So, um, it's yeah. So it's good. You mentioned that your daughter is coming up
mhm,
10, and obviously some of the issues that we have to confront, especially in the African American
mhm,
community, are quite full on.
mhm.
But you don't strike me as somebody that shies away from um, really just informing your children about what is actually happening. But in terms of the actual, I guess, activity, in terms of
Mhm.
perhaps well, you can maybe tell us about that. But what I was going to say is, in terms of when you actually need to perform a role, maybe leave the house, go somewhere, participate.
Mhm.
How do you manage that and manage or mother your children and do the things that you need to do for them?
Okay, so I made being a Panther a lifestyle. The original Panthers of '66 had their babies bouncing on their knee. The children were just a part of the revolution as the mothers were. There's some days, I have to balance it out a little bit better. You know, there's some events I get to take my kids with me. If it's not like a protest, I don't take my kids to protest because we don't know if the police are going to show up and pepper spray the crowd. If it's like just for
Yeah.
like food distribution or we're having a cookout, we'll bring the kids out there sometime. And I want my kids to be in the community to see the needs of the people so they're not naive to what is needed. So,
Hmm.
especially Naomi. Naomi is very passionate about her history. And I'm proud to say I'm her mother because she was correcting a lot of the teachers during Black History Month.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Naomi, here's something wrong. Like her teacher had said slavery wasn't in the North. Naomi put her hand and said, excuse me, Miss Bridges. She was like, yes. Slavery was also in the North because Harriet Tubman was a slave in Maryland. Oh no, that's not. Well, Naomi, we're not going to cover that right now. Well, Naomi said, but what you're saying is not right. Well, I'm
Yes.
only going. So, then to show support of my order, I got on, and the teacher was like, well, Miss Jessup, like, I'm just teaching what is being taught, but if it's wrong, then you have to allow the children to know what is right and what is true.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
little things like that children start to see when they're being lied to, and teachers don't really like it. They rarely want to acknowledge her hand when she have it raised when it comes to African history. You know, um,
Mm.
Naomi also had to tell them that our history did not start as slavery. Our history is 48,000 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
slavery is not where it started at. Oh, I understand, but we're just talking about that right now. So Naomi is very bold in the things that she say, and it bothers a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
teachers. Another fiery daughter of mine is Natalie. Oh my gosh. Natalie said one day when she get older, she want to be a general of a Black
Oh,
Panther.
wow.
Yeah, she want to be a general. Natalie understands how this country have mistreated our ancestors. Said, "Mommy, I want to continue to work with the ancestors," and she says that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when they see I'm passionate about it, they're passionate about it. You balance it when you make it a lifestyle. And a lot of people say, "Well,
Okay.
how can you make being pro-Black a lifestyle? It's in everything that you do. It's in every essence of the word. My existence is Black, so I'm going to support my people. I teach my children to support the people. When we celebrate Kwanzaa, we go
Mm-hmm.
support other Black businesses, and I
Mm-hmm.
teach them about different of the Swahili words like Amani, faith,
Mm-hmm.
unity. We talk about all these things, and it really is bringing
Mm-hmm.
us closer together. So you got to balance it out by just allowing your kids to participate in it, because you're not always going to have a babysitter, but our people are always going to have needs. So if they're there with you, they see the needs of the people, and then it takes the load off a lot of stuff you have to do.
Yeah, so this is really interesting because I resonate what you say in terms of when you and I had the conversation. It's like, so you're a mother to your children, your biological
Hmm.
children, but you're also in the activism role. It's like you're also playing this kind of mother figure role. Would you
Hmm.
agree?
Yes, I agree.
And
Because
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
go
it's
ahead.
buffering a lot. So you finish because my computer buffered on the side. Continue.
Oh, no, yeah. So I was saying that just making this comparison between being a mother to your children,
Hmm.
but also being a mother to the community, like a mother figure. So does it become difficult to yeah to do both? Because
Yes.
I don't know what. Yeah.
And I'm going to explain a little bit of what makes it difficult. It's
Okay.
difficult when you don't have, my family don't support that I'm Pan-African and I'm a pro-Black activist. They feel that it's a waste of time. So I
Really?
always don't have, yeah, really, it's sad. A lot of my family's in the second place. They don't want to read the true history. They believe that everything's fine and our current state is fine when it's not. So
Mm,
I have a lot of backlash when it comes to my family, when it with my activism, and sometimes when watching my kids they don't want to. So I do have to arrange childcare arrangements to continue to be able to do the work that I'm doing. So that's
mm,
kind of the challenge when you don't have people that understand why you're doing it or what is the purpose for it. I hear them
mm.
complain about the problems in the Black community, but they don't want to do anything to address the problems neither. So
Yeah.
that's a lot that I run into, just backlash with the family. I am the black sheep of my family. I'm the only one that is not religious. I'm into African
Okay.
spirituality. I'm the only one
Hmm.
that really has a love for the people. And they don't understand how can an evangelical, Pentecostal, conservative upbringing lead to this.
Yeah. Well, I think you've answered the other question I was going to ask you in terms of, do you receive any challenge about exposing your daughters to, or your children to the activism that you do?
Oh, yes, I do. Like one time, my daughter, none of them says they pledge allegiance to the flag. Until we have equal rights and equal justice, I will not pledge allegiance to the American flag because it's a lie. When they say liberty and justice for all, what happened to the justice for Sandra Bland? What happened to the justice for Breonna Taylor, for Emmett Till? My people do not receive justice. So that one phrase in the Pledge of Allegiance is a lie. So we do not say that pledge. A teacher told my daughter, at Magruder Elementary School that maybe she should go back to Africa. And sweetheart, I was working. The teacher told her that. Yes. And when I went up there, that lady was hiding. Okay, she was trying to avoid me for most of the day, until at the end of the day she couldn't avoid me. I said, "So my daughter told me what you said. We do not say the pledge of allegiance to the flag because this country have done so much wrong to our people, and we do not support what this country stands for." So, and I just asked her, "Did you say that?" "I think I'm going to need some backup." I said, "Get all the backup you need because I'm not standing down." You know, so
she said she needed backup to answer your question.
Yeah, she needed backup because she thought, like, I have kind of a fiery temper. Okay, I'm a very passionate type woman. When it comes to my kids, Mama Tiger comes out, and I will thank you for what you said. So she said, "I think I need someone else to talk with you. I think I'm gonna need backup." So she went and got the principal. And what gets me mad is when white people say something racist, they bring another black person into the equation. You know, they'll grab the nearby black person, say, "I have one. I don't care about your one black friend over there. I'm addressing the fact that you said something racist to my daughter." So she a roundabout way admitted that she said it. So the principal said that, "I accept that y'all daughters don't say the pledge, so we will not make you stand for the pledge anymore." I said, "I know that's right." And then it was the end of the discussion. Until that day, she didn't talk to my daughter anymore.
Okay. You're right. I know this is motherhood. I was talking before you came on about the fact that how, I don't know about you, but before I used to try and I'll call it compartmentalize. You try and have little things in, this is this time, this is what, so you do your work, and almost trying to like keep children separate from work. But as you're saying, and as I've come to learn, it's like, but no. When we talk about this work-life balance, the more and more I think about it, it's like, but isn't work part of life? So actually, the more we can see it as all one thing. So it reminds me of what you're saying, is that no, it's a lifestyle. It's not just like, you put it in a box and this bit goes over here. It's like holistically, this is the life that you are living. So you try and make time to address everything legal. But it's what's I going to say? That it's not necessarily that you manage to do 50-50. And I don't think even necessarily, I don't know what you think, I don't think necessarily that's what we need to achieve. It's at least if we can achieve harmony, that somehow even something we pay a bit more of our attention to one aspect and a bit less, but it still works. So yes, I can see the challenges that you are talking about. Having to challenge the teacher, what you're teaching, what you are teaching, being absorbed by your children, and then them going to be outspoken. So then that how the activism is born in them. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about? Because, for instance, here's a very straight question for you. Like I said, it's difficult to balance the two. But for instance, have people said to you, "But why don't you just focus on the other and leave the activism alone?"
Because what legacy am I leaving my daughters? We're always going to have problems. Okay, we're always going to have problems. They're not going nowhere until we address them. I am doing legacy work right now. I'm leaving a legacy of my daughters to continue to follow in, to bring liberation for our people, because we're not going to get it in this lifetime. It took us 400 years to get in this situation. It's going to take us probably another 400 years to get out of it. It starts with planting seeds for the next generation. I'm not going to live to see a liberated Africa, but my great-great-grandchildren will. And they'll remember that I was planting seeds for that future, just like our ancestors who were enslaved here. I
Mhm.
get emotional when I think about the sacrifices they made. They knew they would not even know what freedom felt like, but they knew that their descendants would never be enslaved again. And that's my mindset. I am blazing trails so my great great granddaughters and grandsons don't have to live under oppression no more. It's legacy work. So that's why it matters.
That's so important. Thank you for speaking that so directly, because um, it's, I think it's difficult enough with the many demands on our time as women, as mothers,
Mhm.
particularly. I imagine that that would be something that some would just say, "Oh no, forget that."
Can I
But
ask one
like,
question though? I don't mean to
yes,
be
you can.
rude and interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I respect all people's religion, but why don't they have that same energy for the church? I know plenty of women in my family that dedicate their life to the church. They're there every morning on Sunday. They're there on
Hmm.
Wednesday. They're there Monday night for Bible study. How's that
Hmm.
any different from what I'm doing? I hear
Indeed.
so many black people saying, okay, I tell black people you need to stop eating pork because it's bad for you. Well, we're all going to die anyway. I tell a black person, you need to start standing up for your community. That's dangerous. Are you crazy? I could die. You just told me you're not going to stop eating pork because you're going to die anyway, but you won't die fighting for what is right for your people. I already know what I got
Yeah.
myself into. I already know when you get in the government space and hold them to what they're doing, you're a threat to them. So they will try to neutralize the threat. So I stayed
Mm.
ready. That's all I can say. Stay ready.
It's
It's
very true.
hilarious to me
Context,
how black
context is
people
key.
like to stay content in their situation. We're comfortable slaves here in America. A lot of us
Yeah.
feel that we don't have no other responsibilities no more. They're taught
Hmm.
that the civil rights movement's over, and it's not. I don't want to be treated civilly. I want to be treated as a human being. There's a difference. They
There
don't
is a
know the
difference. Yeah.
difference. We're not full
Hmm.
citizens. And until more black people emancipate their mind and liberate their mind to see the crimes that are still being committed against their people,
Mm.
nothing's going to change for us. So that's why I will continue to speak until somebody listens. And if
Thank
not me
you.
here, my daughters are going to be here still speaking to people about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So
pro blackness is my religion. Just like going to church is your religion, being in the community is my religion. Yeah.
apologies, sis. Yes, I think it
It's
was
okay,
important
Queen.
to call that out because I don't think people realize that what this reminds me of, and I'm very much the same in your position. You know that I've moved to Ghana. I'm on the path to contest to become president of the country, and when we take on these positions where
Okay.
for us it's equally
I'm
important
proud.
for us
Accolades.
to it's equally important for us to mother our children, as in be a mother to our children, a partner to our spouse, to play that family role, but equally, like literally equally important for us to be that mother figure in the community. Because,
Mhm.
we as the women, we are the community builders. We are the
We
ones
are.
that do bring people together, isn't it? So I
Yes.
love what you're sharing, and I just want to like reaffirm the importance of that. And kudos to you for standing your ground, because, like I said, as women, as mothers, I feel that we have enough demands on us already, so that when
Yes.
we are standing up to do things that we believe in, it's not
Mhm.
that we're standing up easily. we know that we have our families that we need to pick up, but it's just that we have an
Yes.
equal conviction, as you said,
Mhm.
to nurture our community, to do what we need. And like you said, leave a legacy. Like that's so
Mhm.
important for us to leave a legacy for our children. So I want to say, yeah, kudos to you, respect for
Respect to you
taking your
too, Queen.
stand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because it's not easy.
It
And it
isn't.
also reminds me that there's no one right way, or one only way to be a mother. Would you
Mhm.
agree?
It isn't. And the thing about it, though, everybody's an expert, even if they don't have kids. you know, Mothers are
Yeah.
always criticized more than anybody. You're always going to be criticized for what you don't do, for what you did do, for things you have not even done yet. You're criticized for.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you have to ignore people that are not even doing anything for you. I've learned to tune people out when it comes to how they try to tell me about how I need to be a mother. Because I
Mm,
know plenty of, women in the church as well as men, their kids are there from sun up to sundown.
yeah.
It's really no different except I'm trying to address the problem instead of like covering it with a blanket. So I
Yeah.
get a lot of backlash for, basically waking my children up to activism. It's
Hmm.
something that a lot of people don't really support. But I always say this, if you don't have the courage to face your problems, then don't complain about them.
That's powerful. If you don't have the courage to face your problems, then don't complain about them. What
Yeah,
else
you
is
have
there?
to
What
have.
more is there to say?
I don't want to hear about, well, what about this or why is this going on? If I already have told you what is the cause and effect of slavery and what needs to be done, our ancestors left the blueprint on how to get our liberation. Marcus Garvey, Malcolm
Mm,
X, Kwame Nkrumah,
mhm.
okay, Carmichael, all these beautiful people, Harriet, left us a blueprint. But what are we doing with it? I'm not making excuses. I could easily make an excuse. I'm a young mother. I'm a single mother of three children. I'm divorced as well. I'm a single
Mhm.
mother of three children, and I don't have time to give back to the community. That's BS right there because if you got time to set up appointments, if you got time to go out on dates, if you got time, to be run the street,
It's
you got
true to
time to
live,
support your
basically.
community. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I say. That's mine. That's what I say. People, you have to make it a priority. It's not easy all
Yeah.
the time. Sometimes people you labor with, you might get into it sometimes, but I still love them and I'm still going to be there to support them. It's hard when
Yes.
you go give out food and you see the food down in the ditch. You give people food, they throw it away. It hurts, but at least you
Oh,
know that
wow.
yeah, that's the part that a lot of people don't see. It's when you take
Mm,
time to put food away for the weekend and the very food you just gave out, you see left somewhere or thrown out somewhere.
mm,
We're not going to stop giving out food. We're just going to be more
mm.
selective who we give it to now.
That
That's
makes
the
sense.
other part that will burn you out. Being an activist is very like hard because you have to deal with some of your own people that you're trying to liberate challenge you. Some black people want to fight you. It's funny. That's why you got to stay squared up sometimes because some people might not like what you're saying. They're defending the oppressor and you're trying to liberate them, but they're basically defending the oppressor's standpoint and don't even realize it. So
Yeah.
it
I
can be
hear
draining
you. I hear
sometimes.
you.
Sometimes I take a break. Like recently, I went on a small hiatus, you know, to get my thoughts and my mind and my kids right. You got to take break, but
Mhm.
you get back to it. I would be a
Yeah.
liar if I sat up here and said that you never have a hard day being an activist. Being an activist is really hard. It's the most
Hmm.
hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's worth doing.
Yes, I agree. And in terms of teaching teaching, informing, educating your children to, if nothing else, to just speak out when they see, hear, feel that something is wrong. That's got to be something that is positive, surely.
Yes, because your
Well, I guess
silence.
I was going to say, I guess the teachers in the school must be wary of because your children are coming to school to teach them, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
like
but,
it.
but but it's wonderful. I think it's there's nothing wrong with teaching our children how to speak out. It's just how we do it. You know, it's like the way you said. You know, your daughter spoke so not apologetically, but yeah, I would say respectfully. You know, excuse me, miss. You
Yes.
know, it's this and this and this. I think yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. And surely, when we talk about empowerment, that is what
Hmm.
we mean, enabling our children, and not just our children, those around us,
Hmm.
or yeah, giving them the confidence and maybe the information to be able to question something.
Yes,
Just question something. Surely that cannot be wrong.
but they make you feel like it's wrong. And in
Sure.
those, and I'm happy that you say that. I teach my children to be respectful. Be respectful to their elders. I teach my kids
Yeah.
that. But if a person is wrong and you know they're wrong, it's okay to politely challenge what an adult is telling you if you know it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because I want my children to be leaders, not followers. If I was to tell my
Mhm.
children to go along to get along, I'm setting them up for failure. Because a lot of us in this life are still going along to get along. And that's why we
Yeah.
don't have, we're no closer to liberation because everybody just don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. I will ruffle your feathers and I will rip them out before I let you tread on my rights. You know, I
And
gotta be
there
that
you have it.
person. You know, my mother said from a child, I've always had to get the last word, and I always, always was very opinionated from the time I was 2. I've been
Wow.
very opinionated. You know, it got me
Okay.
slapped a lot of my teen years, but at least I got my point across. They slap you, even if you're right.
This is well, that's a whole conversation for another time. The what constitutes respect? Because culturally, it's basically don't question, don't challenge, and even that's why I recognize even that is a journey for us. It's a journey for us how to unlearn this behavior, because definitely here on the continent in Africa it very much is, yeah, you don't question. Our children don't really have a voice, and so it's trying to work with them and say, well, no, they should have a voice, but just respectfully. So that's the kind of things, we are the different struggles we are up against. If you don't teach our children to question when they are children, when do they learn that? That what, as
Never.
soon as they come adults, they know how to speak out? It doesn't
No,
work like that, does it?
no, it doesn't. But I also bring up the story to my kids about Patrice of South Africa.
Remember? Hmm.
If people question what the French and the German and United States was asking them to do, his business partners, so-called friends, if they questioned what they were trying to do, Patrice would be alive today. And we would
Hmm.
have a more liberated Africa today. A lot of people are so afraid to question because they don't really want the truth or know the answer of what they're doing because they want to pretend that they're blind to what they're doing so they can say they're innocent. I tell my daughters, if you're ever going to get involved with anything, know the truth from the
Mm.
inside out. And if you still decide to do it knowing that it's wrong,
Hmm.
then that shows you who you really are. So don't come
Yeah,
to
no,
me and telling me you didn't know what you were doing
mhm.
was wrong because in your heart you very well did. So I
Yeah,
teach my kids, ask the questions, ask the hard questions nobody wants to answer, and I'll tell you if it's wrong or not.
yeah. I think it's either you don't want to hear the truth,
No,
um,
they don't.
because they say ignorance is bliss, or you're scared of the consequences.
Exactly.
Because, um, like I said, conversation for another time. But growing up in church, it's like if you sometimes when you ask questions there, then you're accused of basically being a blasphemer. So that
Exactly.
doesn't necessarily that's not necessarily going to sit well with the child if they get the message, okay, when I ask questions, then I'm punished. So then it shuts down them asking questions, isn't it?
Don't ask the
Um,
questions they can't answer.
yeah, well, I personally say it's like, yeah, I say, don't ask yourself the question if you're not ready to hear something you don't want to hear. Because you cannot predict what you may think you know what the answer is,
Hmm.
but unless you absolutely know you 100% know the person, or I always say, do not ask the question unless you're ready to hear whatever, because you can't control that.
Exactly.
Oh, sis, welcome from Zambia and Ethiopia. We thank you for joining myself and Sister Lola here. We have been getting into how she balances activism and motherhood, and uh, whether actually there's a competition between mothering our children and mothering our community. But as women, that is part of our nature. I would say it's part of our
Mhm.
role. It doesn't necessarily have to be as an activist, although we're talking with Sister Lola about activism, but we do have a role in bringing together, nurturing, supporting the community. So I think that is where I refer to our fellow women as mother figures. We don't have to birth the
Yes.
child to be playing that role, right? We
No, you
It's
don't.
something that's in us.
Yes, because when you're in a
So
community and you see the
yeah,
children that aren't getting the attention at home, they gravitate to you. I had a 20-year-old that I was talking with, and she said, my mother has never been this gentle or kind with me. And that touched my heart. Sometimes I cry when I get back in my car because you see the
yeah,
brokenness in these children. You just want to take all of them home with you and just love them. I would have over
yeah,
200 children right now if I had the money and the and the resources.
yeah. Thank you
You
so
got to
much for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. And I just reaffirm what Sister Lola is saying is that yes, we have this English language, and one says one is a woman and one is a mother, and a mother is usually somebody who has biologically birthed a child, or maybe adopted, or basically looking after a child. But there are other mother figure roles that
yeah.
women do and need to carry out, because guess what? Not everybody has a good relationship with their mother,
No.
or mothers have a good relationship with the child. So what happens to those children, be they what do I want to say, young children, as in from 0 to 15 or something, or adult children, because we even know sisters who they do not have a good relationship with their mother as adults. So what happens to them? They still need that nurturing attention from a mother figure. So thank you for saying that, Sister Lola. We're calling out our fellow sisters, the women, that, you know, just because you may not have, whether it's by choice or circumstance, you do not have children, we still call on you to use your role to be the mother figures for those that
Love,
don't have them.
yes. Love them even if they're
Yeah.
not yours, because at the end of the day, you never know whose life you are actually saving. You have so many children that
Absolutely.
are hurting. They just need a kind word. They need a hug. They just need someone to listen to them and tell them that they're beautiful, that they're amazing. Especially our young black girls. I want to have a segment on that one day. But when I'm in the
Hmm.
community, I say, young queen, do you know how beautiful you are? Do you know how valuable you are? Do you know how many endless possibilities you have? As many stars in the night sky? And just to see their face glow up, knowing that they're beautiful and they have endless possibilities, I see their spirit raise in them. and they look forward to seeing you all the time. So that's what keeps
That's
me going. There's some days I don't know if I want to do it anymore, but then when I think about the children that I'll be leaving behind out there, I'm so,
mm,
when I think about those kids, it keeps me going
mm,
because I'm not going to give up on them. You know, I'm not. I'm sorry to get emotional, but this is like the
no, no need to apologize.
greatest passion of
No
my
need to
life,
apologize.
Lord. Those babies, because
Mm,
we don't make a change. And I hate to really keep saying the same thing over. I'm talking to all the women out there. We are the
yes.
pillars of society, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Whether you want the responsibility or not, it's yours. Why? Because spirit and souls and life is created in our body.
Mhm.
So civilization is whatever where we are. If the conditions of your civilization is dark, we have to change that and bring light back to our children, to our generation. It's our responsibilities. Why? Because our life starts with women. We're the first teachers, we're the first nurturer, we're the first everything.
Mhm.
So we have to bring the focus back to our children and our community. That's why I had combined both, where I could be a mother and also a mother to the children that actually need it too. Not every child that come running after me is my child, but I still show them love. I remember 18 years old. I was just even before I had children. I used to be out there giving kids popsicles during the summer, just loving on them, being there for them.
Mm,
Because I saw the
yeah.
need. So if you don't have kids,
Wow.
allow yourself to be used by the ancestors to be a blessing to someone who needs you, especially if you learn to be a mother.
Mhm.
Use that nurturing to heal someone else's child that doesn't really have a mother, a good mother, in fact, too. And I love you said that too. So,
Thank
yeah.
you so much, Sister Lola, for joining me today. That was a powerful conversation
Yeah.
about balancing motherhood and activism and everything in between, teaching our children how to question, to ask questions, and a call out to our fellow sisters, the women, to, yeah, you know,
Rise up. Take your place.
yeah, to rise up and to not limit yourself, uh, not limit yourself by the virtue of not having birthed your
Please
children.
move.
You are still needed. Hello.
Say hi, Skip.
You are still needed. So thank you, Sister Lola. Thank you,
Thank
Young
you.
Queen.
Say hi.
And
No.
And yeah, Sister Lola, I hope you'll join us again at some point. But thank you for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us. And to all the viewers, whether you're watching live or on replay, thank you for your time. Please
Thank
share
you.
this broadcast with at least one person. You never know. You never know how that information could positively impact somebody. So thank you, and I will see you again at 2 p.m.
All
GMT
count.
next week. Bye bye.
Bye.